Okay, so I think we should start with your passion for whiskey. Disclaimer, I'm not a whiskey specialist, I'm a wine specialist, but I think it would be great to learn together with our viewers. I'm sure some of our viewers are more knowledgeable on whiskey, some are new to it. So I think we should start with a little introduction into the whiskey culture, and then your story. How did you get into it, and how did your story start?
So story started a long time ago. I'm actually born and raised in Cape Town, South Africa.
Oh, wow.
And we grew up drinking whiskey, but whiskey was more like, I was talking to someone yesterday. Whiskey to me was people that were like a little edgy. They were drinking whiskey. The other people were drinking, gin and tonic or, tequila or
Okay.
wine or champagne. The whiskey people seemed a little edgy. But if I think back of those memories of drinking whiskey, we were putting so much ice in it. It was like water flavored whiskey, really cold. So we weren't really like, we were drinking whiskey, but we weren't like, that thing when you drink something high alcohol and you're like, oh, that wasn't happening. It was full of ice and it was blended whiskey, which is very nice, but it's a very low ABV. So my whole life, I've been drinking low ABV whiskey, primarily J&B and Johnny Walker Black. When I used to run restaurants and nightclubs, I could drink a bottle of Johnny Walker Black in a night because I would just constantly, many hours, 8 hours working, drink a bottle because it's just what I enjoyed drinking. It wasn't until almost 10 years ago where I started to get more interested in whiskey. This was about the start of Japanese whiskey was coming out. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I wonder what a Japanese whiskey tasted like. And then I tasted one and I'm like, whoa, whoever made this whiskey, like their level of excellence was very high because nobody wanted it. So in my mind, I said, man, if you're going to make a whiskey this good, you're pretty confident because, nobody needs it. Nobody cares. 10 years ago. Kind of crazy how it is now. And then my second kid, my first daughter, she was born premature. And so she came out 5 weeks early and she was in the NICU for 2 weeks, the ICU for the babies. And a friend of mine in Detroit had an issue getting whiskey to Detroit because just the allocations. And he's like, I need to get more whiskey. And I was like, so we just started thinking through ideas. And I said, how cool would it be if I start investing in whiskey and make it like a alternative investment strategy? Because I would get really tired of going to my money manager, every 6 months and telling me how, oh God, look, I made 7%. And I'm like, oh, the market's up like 100. How you make 7? So I was like, and the worst case scenario, drink it. So I started buying whiskey and here we are. I mean, the whole strategy is a 15-year strategy. The goal is when my first kid goes to college, sell it all and pay for it. And, Mason's going to be 11 this week. So like maybe 7 years left of this and nothing but fun, to be honest. I have about, in my personal collection, a little over 800 bottles of rare whiskey. And I have about 300 bottles open. And I drink it all, like Irish, Japanese, Thai, Scotch, American bourbons and ryes, Indiana bourbons and ryes, Tennessee bourbons, I drink it all because now I geek out on how hard it is to make whiskey. Good whiskey. Exactly. But it's a process. Like you have to be committed. This is not like, my joke is, this is not something you throw in the microwave and hit 1 minute and then, oh, here it's ready. Like it's a process and you have to be committed and people are committed at different levels. It's also, as you know, in the wine space, it goes back centuries and kind of imagining what it was like for whiskey, the 1800s, building a distillery, you got no cars, no nothing. You got a railway, you got boats. So now you got to put the rocks. I mean, there's no bricks. There's no cement. You have to figure out how to like stick them together. You have to get copper and like hammer it in and test. I mean, I couldn't even imagine in the 1800s, and so, and the same in wine, you go to these vineyards and you're like, wait, these guys have been making wine for so many years. And like when they started, it was like them and a horse and a donkey and a grape. And even worse, I think nobody cared. Nobody wanted it. Nobody
Yeah.
understood how good it was. It was literally like, hey, I'm doing it, but like, So
Yeah. It was like a commodity.
yeah,
Just.
yeah, it's a job. I make wine, I make whiskey, I make gin. Let's say, like you don't get to see the consumer at the end who says, "Oh my God, that was delicious." You might get somebody, imagine in the 1800s, like knocks on the door. "Hi, I'd like to try the wine." "Hey, I'd like to try the whiskey." And you're like, "What are you doing here? Why are you here?"
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for watching this video. You can watch the full podcast episode by clicking here, or watch another interesting video by clicking here. Let's continue the discussion in the comment section and see you in the next one.